People talk about their favourite theme park rides, they tend to focus on the coasters. In this video, I am going to be focusing on the water rides instead. I have ridden water rides all over the world, from gentle boat rides to absolute drenchers. So here is my top 10. Right, as always, this is based on rides I have been on, so I'm sure there are some big names out there that may not be on this list because I've not experienced them personally. At number 10 though, we are going to start over in Ireland, and that is with their log flume known as Viking Voyage. Now, on the face of it, you might think, Chris, why is this on your list? It's not the most spectacular thing. It's a very long ride. I think I got a POV and it was like 7+ minutes. It's a very, very long boat ride. It does have backward sections, forward sections, numerous lift hills, etc. It is not intensely themed by any stretch of the imagination. However, that final drop is an absolute soaker. I was on the front row with Dave from Loops and Lap Bars to get a POV, and yeah, I got quite soggy. So, starting a list here in Ireland. Right, number 9 is also a log flume. But don't worry, this is not my top 10 log flumes. This one is over in Portaventura, and it is Silver River Flume. It is another reasonably long ride, and it is, again, another soaker. So, I mean, what more can I say? That's what you go on a water ride for. Right. Number 8 is a little bit of a weird one. Probably a bit of a curveball, but listen, it's personal preference, right? So your list will definitely be different to mine. But number 8 for me is the Gruffalo ride in Chessington World of Adventure. Now, before any of you come in the comments, I didn't experience its predecessor, Bubbleworks, which I know a lot of people say they wish was back and they prefer it to the Gruffalo. My kids are of the generation that I read the Gruffalo to them, so for me, there's kind of a connection there. And certainly when I took my kids, before I started the channel, we just lapped the thing because it's fantastic. It is very well themed. It just plays the story that if you're a parent and you've got young kids, you will know this story. So I absolutely love this ride. And it's my number 8. Right, for number 7, we are going to step up the immersion quite a bit, and that is we're going to head over to Disney and go on Navi's River Journey. It is in that Pandora section. Now, the whole land is beautiful. I mean, Disney are masters at theming areas, and this attraction is no different. It is a gentle indoor boat ride, but it is so well themed. There are some screens in there, but they're very, very tastefully done and well blended in. There's a lot of physical props, and that animatronic at the end, the kind of chick with about 15 arms, is fantastic. So definitely a fantastic ride. Right, for number 6, we are going to go with a rapids ride, but this rapids ride is a little bit different. So we're going to go over to Phantasialand and on to River Quest. There's a couple of reasons this ride is different. So the first one is that you leave the station in the boat, and then you get shunted sideways into a lift, or an elevator if you're American, and you go straight up. And that's their way of getting you up to kind of height. Now, the reason for this, if you look at Phantasialand on a map, it's quite small. It's kind of similar size to Blackpool Pleasure Beach. So, I mean, it's nothing like Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It is a very immersive park with very detailed theming and some fantastic attractions. But obviously, because space is a premium, this is their way of getting a kind of river rapids in there. They just kind of go straight up to height and then back down you come. And some of those drops on the way back down are quite extreme. Like when you're off riding, you see it, it looks almost like a sheer drop, and you think that's going to tip the boat. It doesn't tip the boat, don't panic. But it is absolutely bonkers, and that is why it is on my list. Right, we're halfway through the list now, and there's one ride here that didn't quite make the cut, but it's going to get an honourable mention, and that is Coal Cracker over in Hershey Park. The reason for that is it's another log flume, and I know I said this isn't my top 10 log flumes. The reason this one is on here is because it makes it into coaster count as a cred. I don't know, there's going to be people arguing in the comments, not a cred. The reason it makes it in the coaster count as a cred is because there's this tiny little airtime hill. Like you come down the drop and then you do this little airtime hill, and it's a proper log flume, so there's no restraints, no seatbelts, no nothing. Yeah, your backside comes off the seat. It is absolutely fantastic. So didn't make it on my list, but I just thought I'd mention it. Right, number 5 is another incredibly well themed ride, or at least the first half of it is, and then the second half not so much. And that is over in Efteling, the Vliegende Hollander. Now, this is another, as far as I'm aware, one of a kind. The manufacturer's one I've never heard of before, so I don't think they've done many, if any, other attractions. But basically, this ride, you start off in the station, kind of well themed in the station and all that, and then you go through, and there are some kind of dark scenes in there where you genuinely could be duped into thinking you're at sea. Like it's pitch black, kind of winds blowing and all that kind of stuff. Very, very well done. And all you've got is this kind of lantern on the front of your boat. and then you've got these sort of other big ships beside you and stuff, and then it takes you up that lift hill in the dark, and then of course you're outside into kind of like a coaster section, and then splash into the water, and it is absolutely brilliant. I went on it just Christmas there just passed, and I went on the front. I can't remember if I was getting a POV or not. I think I must have, because I'm sure I had the camera on. And I was sitting at one edge so that I could actually get a POV, because right in the middle is the kind of, I don't know what kind of animal it is, lion, bear, something holding up this lantern. So Carly was sort of sat behind that, and I was to the side. She was like, "Oh, that's fine, we didn't get wet." And then she turned around and the water was dripping off my nose. So yeah, fantastic ride though. Right, number 4 is a tricky one, because there was actually two rides that nearly made the same spot. So I'm going to pick one, but I'm going to mention the other one as well. The one that I am going to pick as my number 4 is Pirates in Batavia at Europa Park. Fantastic indoor boat ride. The one that was very close to getting the same spot was Fata Morgana in Efteling. Similar in many, many ways, except you go through some guy's legs, which is a bit odd. I mean, Pirates in Batavia at Europa Park, I mean, based on my list, I would definitely say is better than Pirates of the Caribbean in Disney. It's very similar in that respect. It's sort of the same concept of ride. You're going past similar kind of scenes and animatronics and stuff, but it is absolutely beautiful. There's a section where you kind of come out. They've got projection mapping in there, which is brilliant. You come out at a bit where you go past the restaurant. Nice restaurant, by the way. But the other crazy thing is, there was a ride here before, but I think had the same name. Unfortunately, it burnt down, so the park rebuilt it, because it's Europa Park and that is what they do. But it is an absolutely fantastic water ride. Definitely one you need to get on. Right, number 3 is a ride that definitely splits opinions. It is quite Marmite in that there are people who will defend it, Jonathan, that I'm looking at you, and there are people who think it is terrible. And that is Valhalla here in the UK. Now, it's a tricky one because I actually put this on my dark ride list as well, because it kind of straddles that kind of half and half. As you could say, a few of the rides I've mentioned already could straddle that dark ride. It's a very, very complicated ride, right? And I mentioned this in the other video as well. I did the behind the scenes of it, which was also controversial because of the price. When you see the complexity of that attraction, you understand why you may go on it and the odd effect does not work. In fact, if you remember, I did 10 laps of this thing when I hit 10,000 subscribers, and every single one of those laps, different rides, different effects worked, didn't work, etc. So it can be a bit temperamental, but it is because it is a very complicated beast. There are also some people who prefer the original, which I definitely did a number of times, but not enough to remember it that well. I do know the current version very well, and I really like it, so that is why it's on my list. Right, we're up to the top 2 then, and in the number 2 spot, we are going to go back over to Phantasialand for Chaps. This thing is very, very interesting ride. I guess you could say this is another log flume type ride. It's a little bit different, but kind of is. This does have restraints on it. You get this bar that you pull down and stuff. Again, I mean, it's Phantasialand. Everything in that park is very well themed, including this ride. It's got multiple lift hills. There's a backwards disco section with monkeys, I think it is. Like, it is crazy, absolutely crazy. I believe it still has the steepest drop on a log flume. I don't think anybody's beat them yet. So it does have that. The thing is that that steep drop is into an airtime hill. So you think you're going to go down and get soaked. You don't. You go down, you do an airtime hill, you bounce up, and then you get soaked. Little tip, don't do it in January, or if you do, wear waterproof shoes, because when I did it, my toes quite literally turned purple. Right, so that brings number 1 then, and actually it's an attraction I've not been on for many, many years, and I may get on it later on this year. At least I hope I get on it later on this year, and that is over in Universal, and it is Popeye and Bluto's bilge-rat barges. Basically, it is their rapids, but it's a rapids that it's not you might get wet, it's you don't stand a chance of staying dry. There are sections where like there's just water flying down, like big pipes of water coming out, people firing water at you. Like, do not be under any illusion that I'll dodge it, I'll be fine. You won't. You absolutely will not. You will be soaked on this ride. Again, it's Universal, so as you would expect, beautifully themed, absolutely fantastic ride. And as I say, number 1 on my list. Right, well, there you go. That is my top 10. And again, it is personal preference. And there's probably rides that you have been on that I have not. So please, in the comments, tell me your top 10. because there might be some in there that I need to go and experience. As always, I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.